for your patience, everybody, this morning. We'll go ahead and get started. We'll introduce our team here. I'm Jenny Knight, the city administrator. We've got
Matt Robertson, city engineer.
Tyler Seaman, the building official.
Brandon Green, planner.
Brady Hanson with Bonavista Water.
Kenny Heffelfinger with Bonavista Water.
Dan Johnson with Pineview.
Perfect, thank you. So first on our agenda, we have a discussion on a possible development at 765 North Harrisville Road for Brett Jones and team, however many. And if you want to bring extra people, just grab extra chairs.
Okay.
You're welcome to come up to the table, whoever you'd like to invite.
Great. How you doing?
Good. How's it going?
Good.
This is the concept we've received in your application.
Yes. Yeah. Thanks for having us this morning. Yeah, my name is Brett Jones, and
I'm Chad Garner, Focus Engineering and Surveying.
so Chad put this concept together for us. We are under contract on this land right now with the current owners, Todd Jones and Shane Smoo. They've been working on this parcel for a long time, trying to figure out a commercial use for it, combining it with the Javier's piece, going on, they said 20 years. They weren't able to reach that. In recent meetings, they got feedback that townhomes would be possible here. So converting it from a commercial zone to residential through a master development agreement. So we're looking to get feedback on this site plan to pursue townhomes and learn what that process looks like, to transition it zoning wise and to get it to where we can get it platted. So.
Okay. Yes. I'll step in, be the planner. So I've had a chance to look over your concept plan, and I do have some questions related to that, obviously. Currently, like you stated, it's zone CP2, so it would require an MDA to redevelop or rezone that parcel. There's 31 units on how many acres?
It's a little over 2 acres, like 2.2 roughly, I believe. So, yeah, it works out to around 15 units to the acre, maybe just under that.
Okay, so it is a pretty dense project. Not saying one way or the other, just saying it's a little dense.
Right. Just to give you an idea, some of our other like mixed use or higher density, I guess, developments that have gone in, the most we've seen has been about 6 units per acre.
Yeah.
Is that about where we've been? Yeah. So it's significantly more.
Yeah, and so just, some comments related to that. The visitor parking, I think, probably need to look at adjusting how that looks, because you've got most of those up front and you don't really provide, other than 2 in the very back, anything for additional visitor parking. We're lacking some visitor parking, especially in a community as dense as that.
Okay. Do you guys have so it'd be I guess a concept would be 2-story units that are, have 2-car garages in them, but for additional visitor parking, do you have a threshold that you're trying to meet, or
What do your driveways, what's the depth of your driveways as it relates to the garage and the fronts of those garages? Because if they're 20 feet, that doesn't really allow for a lot of parking, but if they're something that's bigger, we might be able to consider.
Yeah, we're trying to get away from, you guys we've all seen it where the garage is right up against the street, basically the alleyway, and there's no driveway. We have that in one spot, but they are doing a bigger parking lot in the back. What we've tried to do in some of the others are, in addition to the garage, have at least like a 20-foot driveway, so that you have the garage for parking as well as. So if the owner, has their car in the garage, someone can visit them and pull in the driveway. Or, as we all know, especially in townhomes, those garages end up with all their junk and they park in the driveway. tried to have the driveway spot plus the garage, not having the garage right up against the alleyway, I guess.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know if we've looked at that on how, what that depth is, Chad, do you know?
No, not off the top of my head. No.
Okay.
So I need to take a look at that.
Okay, we'll make note of that.
Yeah.
Fire access, we have.
We don't have
Ryan's not here.
Okay, we'll come back to that. I'm just curious about fire access, turnarounds, and length. Also about Harrisville Road, and this would probably be a conversation maybe with Public Works. With this development in this area, wouldn't it make sense to create a cul-de-sac or something at the end of that? Is that possible?
It does, oh, at the end of
Harrisville Road.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because everything inside here would definitely be private.
Yeah.
I just don't know that we have the space.
As it stands right now, really, the difference between a cul-de-sac and what's there, it's actually easier right now what's there for snow storage,
Okay.
because there's kind of
Plow it to the dead end.
pile it to the dead end and kind of a dead space there.
Okay.
If that access road adjusts at all, though, that would impact where your current storing snow, right?
So, right, if that
roadway
road shifted
shifted
over, then you'd
east at
lose
all.
your snow storage area that you've been using. I
To
guess.
some extent, I mean, that triangle piece that's still,
Yeah.
On the north.
yeah, it's just dead space. It's bigger than it appears in that picture.
Okay.
And we know that we're adjacent to, single family residential here, so trying to create a buffer on that north side with landscaping and then a roadway so that they're not just looking at the side of the townhome building right next door to their property line. So trying to create some buffer there, which sounds like with where that road is located could work well for snow storage to push it further south.
Are you, on the interior, are you guys looking at that as dedicated right of way, or is that private?
Those will be private roads.
What's the distances on those turns on the road? Are they 250 feet?
Sorry, where?
Just any of those dead ends, are they all
What's
look
the
like they're...
length?
Oh, the length. They should be between 60 and 150.
Okay. I don't think, I'm overstepping a little here, but I don't think that there'll be a fire access issue there then, as long as you maintain your 26 feet.
And then less than 150,
Less than
right?
150,
Yeah.
But you have to, check with Northview Fire.
Okay.
Fire.
Yeah, but
Northview?
I think you'd consider that a hammerhead to make it so you can make the turn back out. It's nice because it's already a natural hammerhead.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of how far the turnoffs are.
So as long as they're less than 150 from center, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, you should be able to get away with not having an additional hammerhead turnaround.
Okay.
The other question I have, just from looking at this, are you going to offer dumpsters, or are these individual garbage can?
That's a good question.
The way I
Probably
private
individual
works,
garbages, right?
the way I private works, it's gonna be dumpsters.
Okay. Yeah, I think when we had thought about it, we were thinking individual garbages, but if we want to plan for dumpster here, we can. And we'd have to make sure we can allow for that on the site, so.
I think it would be really tricky for a garbage truck to do single service dumping on that tight of.
Yeah, I had that question too. Are we doing a dumpster or doing cans?
They don't.
Yeah.
So is a dumpster, you're gonna have to provide an enclosure, screen. Again, based on the numbers, it may warrant more than one.
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, we can get those added for sure.
What else do you have on your checklist?
just want to talk a little bit about amenities. are there amenities that would be associated with that? Meaning like pickleball, pickleball seems to be the love language of amenities, but anything, playground, whatever.
No, so we haven't planned for a playground or pickleball or anything like that. We are going to have open landscape space, obviously, but as far as a park or playground, that wouldn't be incorporated in this. I guess for the size of the project, we wouldn't be able to justify putting that type of an amenity in.
I think the challenge, yeah, go
I
ahead.
would say, I think probably where you were headed, Jenny. I think the challenge with that is when you've got a property or a project like this, people kind of need a place to either go out and sit or go out and enjoy. Is that all common open space around it? And
Yeah, so there would be common area within that. I mean, we could put benches or outside area. If people want to run in their yards or behind in the green space, we could absolutely make that an area for gathering.
Like a little dog park. Or
Yeah,
something like that.
yeah. So something along those lines, I think we would absolutely want to do to be a benefit to the residents here. We're leaning for this to be pretty confident this will be a for sale product. So homeowners would be able to go out with their families to enjoy the open space. But as far as constructing a park or something bigger than that, we wouldn't be. I guess it wouldn't be on that scale, but it's on a gathering area on open space we would.
I think you're going to have to consider some kind of something. And I'm not going to tell you what. I just think there needs to be some kind of an amenity or something associated with the project. You say people can go out there and enjoy. There's nothing to enjoy, just grass. So just to be open and honest with you. So provide something because they're going to want something. The other thing is, this is going to be a for sale product, so it'll be all home ownership. It's not going to be apartment. Well, to the extent that we can control it, it won't be apartment.
Right.
So will there be an HOA that maintains the grass areas then?
Yeah.
And there'll be HOA fees and associated with that.
For other projects, I guess you were mentioning you've seen other townhome projects. I guess with other, you're mentioning amenities. I guess are there others that you can compare to that like what you would think?
Even if it's if it's a place for the kids to go play, swings, or if it's a place for people to gather, pergolas, benches, picnic tables, something, because people tend to want to hang out, or at least what I've witnessed, they want something if they're moving into a place. I moved into my property because it has a yard where I can gather with my family.
Right.
I just don't know.
Yeah.
It's hard. Well, the ones that we've seen in the city have all had some kind of amenity.
Okay.
They've all been on some property bigger than this.
Sure.
Right. So
Yeah.
that's the real struggle that you guys have.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, I think that there's another, just chime in for a second here. I think there's something else we need to keep in mind with this because of the zoning restrictions that we have. This is a commercial zone, and the only way we can go residential is to do an MDA.
Mhm.
So there's a bit of a sale to the city council on this project.
Okay. Yeah.
And so I think we just need to keep that in mind.
Yeah.
It's really high density. There's lack of amenity and open space in it. What benefit to create a community where people are going to be living are we offering to the city council?
Sure.
And that can come in a lot of different directions. I'll let you kind of lead out on that.
Yeah, we'll put our heads together on that. That's helpful. Thanks, Jenny.
Stormwater detention on site. The project's going to require on site detention. And it, again, this is a concept. I realize that, but that's
Right.
going to be something you will have to address. Is where you plan on putting that stormwater detention basin and how it's going to be handled with what the city has already, and maybe Matt, you've
Yeah.
got something to add.
Well, I sent that email to you, Brett.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to have on-site detention or retention based on the soils. The closest storm drain is UDOT storm drain. So if your outlet or overflow from your pond is gonna tie into UDOT, you'll have to get permission from them to tie into their system.
Yeah.
They own, I think I told you, they own that little triangle basin, kind of kitty corner from here. And they do have a storm drain line kind of running along the side of the highway that then dumps into there. I sent you that map that shows those utilities.
Yeah, that was really helpful. Thanks.
Sewer, we do have a city sewer line out in Harrisville Road, but then the other thing you'll need to deal with is the Central Weaver trunk line goes through the middle of these parcels as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it's cutting through. I sent you that map, but it cuts through somewhere like here.
Okay.
Yeah, somewhere through there.
Okay.
It's kind of cutting through the side of the property there.
Yeah, we'll have to make sure we plan around that.
Yeah. So you're not obviously going to be able to put any structures over that without rerouting it.
Do you know what the, I guess, not directly over, but do you know what the, is on either side of that trunk line, how far we need to be from it?
Usually, Central Weaver, since it is a main trunk line, is 20 feet either
That's what I was
side.
going to say.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, you have to go with them.
Okay.
That's significant for that lower
For that,
portion.
yeah.
That's sewer, central.
Sewer.
Central.
Yeah, it's cutting through. It's cutting through right there. Just kind of right through.
Goes behind all of those houses there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, you can have a parking lot, I would imagine.
And then the other big struggle that you'll have is secondary water.
Yeah.
That was on my list.
Okay.
So there, Pineview does not service this area.
Nope.
It's within their district, but they don't have any infrastructure to service that area, right?
Yeah, you'd have to come under the railroad if you wanted to bring water here.
That's a long way.
And right in the middle of the place, yeah.
So what is our best solution then
Do you know if the property has water shares?
It doesn't. Yeah, as far as I know.
Because what we've had to do in some of this area in the city that doesn't have Pineview servicing them, they typically have gravity irrigation, so they have these ditches, coming off of the Western Canal, and they've put in their own secondary system.
Mm-hmm.
So they build a pond and a pump station to provide pressurized secondary to their development. And then the city set up a special service district to take over those secondary water systems. So if you were looking at something like that, you'd have to figure out how to get water shares and get the I don't know if there's any ditches that even.
There's a ditch to the house that's existing, but I don't know if that keeps continuing down off the Costly or not. I don't know.
It's all flood irrigation right now for that whole property. So if there's no water shares, that's switching from commercial to residential is going to be very tricky because you're going to have to acquire water shares
Yeah.
to put in the secondary system. And then because it's flood irrigation, you have to maintain service to downstream users. So once you provide the pressurized secondary service for your development,
Mhm.
you have to make sure that it continues on to the downstream users at the same time and speed
Okay.
as a prescriptive easement would require. So
Okay.
it can be piped through your project as
Mhm.
long as it's going out at the same outlet to the downstream user.
Okay.
You'd have to find out if there are
So-
downstream users.
Well,
The whole costly ditch.
Where does costly come through?
It would
Costly
be,
comes to, if you, no, you can't.
yeah, I can pull up GeoGizmo here.
Sorry, is costly the one down? No, wait.
So it comes across right through the
Retention basin.
basin,
Oh, it does.
and then it branches out. It can go
Okay.
either
Both
way.
ways. But these,
But like I said, I know as of right now, the end ditch user is the existing house. The
this one.
75 house. And there's never been water past that, so does the ditch even run that far? I don't know.
Well, it used to run to
Maybe,
765.
yeah, I'm sure it did.
I'll confirm with them, with the owners on that, because I know
Yeah,
that
and
there
then
was a
you'll-
house there that's been torn
You'll have
down.
to also get with Western Irrigation.
Okay,
Again, their standard is 1 acre foot of water per acre of land. It's not,
It's not irrigable.
yeah.
Acres, it's
it
just
is
totally
just
footage.
1 acre foot of water a year per acre of land.
okay.
So, I don't
Which
know
is
how many
about
acres.
10 shares per acre.
Yeah, so I don't know how many acres this is.
He said it was
Yeah, just over 2.
So you're looking at about 20 shares. Mind you, you're gonna have to, we've allowed, a detention / irrigation basin, but you're gonna have to have a footprint for that.
Okay.
Yeah, it gets tricky because you don't have a lot of land there.
And I guess for landscape requirements in a project like this, what does that look like? I mean, if we were to consolidate, grass area, gathering area, amenity space for a grassy area, and then other parts that are, low water landscaping, is Harrisville City okay with that, or is there any issues with?
Like a water-wise type. what you're thinking.
Yeah,
Zero
xeriscape, I guess trees, shrubs, but, if we were to do, kind of consolidate, grass space in one area, since we are
I think we'd
limited
want
on
to look at it
water.
and see what you're proposing. I don't have an opinion one way or the other. Let's just look at it and see what
Okay.
you're thinking.
But-
Yeah, we'll look at it.
And I get what you're saying, and I agree, but we're going off the standard of what Western has told us.
Mhm.
So they're not gonna deviate from that standard. They don't
Oh.
really care
They don't care what you do.
what you do. Like I said, they don't even go to take out the building footprint or the road footprint. They say it's 10 shares of water per acre.
Mhm.
And,
Okay.
and unfortunately, that's not our standard, it's theirs, but we have to partner with them because we will eventually take over in the 4-mile service district, this facility,
Gotcha.
when it's done. So they have to sign off on the project.
Okay, all right. And that's Western Irrigation we need to
Yes.
talk to? Okay.
We talked briefly about landscaping. Between a CP2 or the CP2 and the residential and commercial, is there a fencing requirement? I'm trying to search through.
There is a screening requirement between commercial and residential. So if this goes residential, there'll be a screening requirement on the east side.
East and the Larson Lane side, and
So this
Okay.
would all be
okay,
required to be screened.
screened.
Residential, this is agricultural, so there would
Yeah.
have to be maintained the agricultural separation so that we're not impacting the agricultural use of that property. So that would have to be maintained on that side as well.
So there might be
some,
additional screening requirements or maintenance.
On the residential side, or residential to commercial, what is I guess when you say screening, what is that?
Sure, we can look at the code for that.
Can it be a dilapidated motel?
Is it still
No,
considered
that's not
commercial?
screening. We're trying to screen
That's a
out
screen.
that.
That's what exists now.
It's a
Our
beautiful-
screening code is here, 1124-080.
Okay.
So between,
6-foot high. Parking screening.
yeah,
11-24-080, is that what you said? Okay.
That's where you'll find your screening for your dumpster.
There's
as
another
well.
one between, that's not the one I thought I was gonna
The one
be
you show,
pulling
like
up.
shows that little
Yeah.
commercial. I think it's in our commercial.
There we go. So, there also, you can look at 11-13-050,
Okay.
commercial abuts residential. It's still I think it's still the same where it's a fence, a mound.
This just gets the detail. Not the detail, the drawing.
Yeah. So those will be your screening for between the two projects, or between the existing
Okay,
and the project.
perfect. Yeah, we will look at that.
What else you got, Brandon?
There was, I'm gonna go back now that I've kind of shared what's happening. There was some talk about you've worked over the years with surrounding neighbors. And this is gonna be my view of the world. I really think that we need to look at that again and possibly get the parties to the table and discuss this, because once that goes, if that were to be approved as residential, that really limits what happens to the rest. And we're gonna be back meeting with other property owners, trying to figure out access and water and all of those things. So I think we need to get a group of property owners around a table, and we need to discuss this really, because we're gonna have the same water issues, storm drain issues, sewer issues, and it would be nice to be able to tackle all of that. I'll be honest with you, I don't like the plan, but it's not my project, it's yours, and I will do everything I can to help you get it through. I'm just worried that the city council's gonna look at that and say, well, we still have issues with that corner there. And I know you said that, and I'm new to this, so I don't know what discussions have been had in the past, but I think we need to really look at that, because we don't solve anything, we actually make problems a little worse for that corner.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Mike, I don't know if you want to step in on this. So Mike Medina is a broker, and he's been working with the owner on the Javier's and also with the owner of this land, and has been
Okay.
trying to bring this group together for a long time. And it's reached an impasse. I don't know how many times.
What's the reason for it? Why is it? What is the reason for that? Can you tell me?
The reason for it.
Why can't we get together, or why aren't they willing to come together?
They have a Javier's restaurant there. And he likes his motel.
And he likes his motel.
That's not supposed to be being used, right?
It's not supposed to be occupied as a motel.
He's got his office in there. Is that what it is?
He has his office in storage.
Are you? So you're the broker?
I'm a broker, yeah.
Okay, you're not. Okay.
So to give you some background, I've worked with the Javier family for probably about 7 years almost. We've gone through maybe, I would say, 6 or 7 negotiations assembling the land, different iterations of it. We've been maybe to a contract twice in that period. And this is only the time period that I've worked with the Javier family on it. What we're running into is Senior is to a point where he wants to keep the restaurant open. This was his first one, or second one really, but this is his kind of what kind of got him started.
Got him started.
And there's a lot of locals that go here, and he's very sensitive to the fact of just shutting down the store.
Well, I don't know that we're asking if we shut down. We're asking because, in addition to this, we've got UDOT, and you've got the access. UDOT isn't going to take that away. That's already there. It's just an ugly corner that has a lot of challenges with it, and so we're trying to figure out how to improve all of it. Because I don't care what happens to Javier. At some point in the future, Javier's going to come to, or the owners of that property are going to come to the city and say, hey, we want to do something different with this now. And once this door is closed, it's going to be limited to what Javier or any of the other properties can do. And again, that's not our problem. It's called planning, right? That's why we sit around and we do this, is to plan now and what could happen. So with that in mind, that's where I'm coming from.
I think Javier does care. And what I mean by that is he does care that that restaurant is open. That's what I'm trying to articulate.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, and I'm saying that with conviction because I've spent more hours than you guys have never imagined with the family, all of his children, Mata, his wife, going through different iterations of this
Okay.
to a point where we've kept the restaurant.
Yeah.
Where we've said, okay, let's do some land swaps. Let's figure out if we can maybe work around it. We have because my specialty is retail.
Yeah.
Commercial, right? So, I mean, I've had proposals from fuel station sites, fast food restaurant. I've had many different iterations of that. Worked with Shane and Todd on trying to assemble it, coming up with different plans. And what it really comes down to is he doesn't want to move the store, close the store, or adjust anything. The fear of making a mistake. So it got to a point where I said, I visited with the family. I said, okay, Shane and Todd want to move forward. And right now it's zoned commercial, which you guys are aware, with no commercial access.
Yeah. Exactly.
Right? Well, that doesn't happen, right? So if there's no commercial access and we've got his own parcel zone commercial, we have to look at an alternative. And that's when Shane and Todd came in here and had that conversation with you guys.
Yeah.
So Javier is aware that they're moving forward and is completely fine with that. I've talked to Junior multiple times about it. I think they'd be open to coming in. I mean, they're good stewards of the city. They want to be a good player, but I definitely think that there are some challenges. And to be sincere, Shane and Todd taking the burden of, one thing, there's a lot that's been presented. I don't even want to get into it, but to answer your question, that's kind of, that's a quick summary, Reader's Digest version of how we got to this point.
Well, that helps me understand. It's again, I think
It's unfortunate.
it's unfortunate because if
To speak to that, ideally, we would love to do it. We would love to figure something out with Javier. It would be a dream.
I know a few years ago we met with Javier's team and they talked about building a new restaurant there
Oh, we had designs of that as well.
as well.
Yeah.
But
Well,
that's not still an option for senior.
Yeah, if it's done for free.
Right. I got you. I hear you.
Well, again, I think to ask at least from my perspective, is we're not trying to shut Javier down. We're not trying to change his use. We're just simply trying to say, look, this is a challenging corner. And if Javier doesn't want to be a part of the conversation and provide solutions to problems, then he's going to find himself in a predicament that the city's going to have to say, look, you had a chance and now we can't really do anything for you.
I don't think it's a conversation. What I'm saying is I would not hesitate in having that conversation. Absolutely would not. And I would say Brett and his team would love to be at that table and to brainstorm on it. There's a lot of different designs that is a great conversation to have. The challenge, what it comes down to is, I think, genuinely is they're overcoming the idea of what to do with the restaurant, and then it comes down to economics, right? Because this is his retirement.
Again, they don't have to do anything with the restaurant. It can remain, but if there's a way to provide an additional access, because that's another concern I have right now. 31 units emptying out onto Harrisville Road. Technically there should probably be another access, maybe out on Larson Lane or something that provides better flow.
That's the high wall. Wall.
There's a wall.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
that's Wall
mislabeled
Avenue.
Larson Lane. That's actually Wall Avenue.
Wall Avenue. Okay.
And
Out on
that's
the wall.
So yeah, if we briefly went over that right at the previous meeting when the city met with UDOT, their preference, and there's another property owner, Brandon, to your point, if we get everybody at the same table for that conversation, the property owner that has this access point that's the preferred location for UDOT is the storage unit property. So
Yeah. Again, I would like to if we could please, and I'd be happy to reach out to Javier and on behalf of the city. Again, the city isn't trying to master plan this. It's not the city's responsibility to do that. But I do feel that it is the city's responsibility to let other property owners understand that if this were to go in, you know, the storage units really aren't affected, but Javier is going to be affected the most. And I think we need to just have that conversation. And if Javier digs his heels in and says, yeah, I'm fine the way I am, then he's got to realize that that's going to be the way it is forever.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And then, you know, still continue working on your project. Again, we have to take this to the city council, and this is going to have to be something the city council approves. I can guarantee you they wouldn't approve a concept like this right now. But could they in the future? Yeah, I think we can massage it and make it look, you know, look good. Knowing that you've got an easement through there for sewer, some things to work around, but bring it back and let's continue working on it. I'm not opposed to it.
Yeah.
I just want you to know that right
Yeah.
now.
Okay. Great.
Okay.
No, that's good feedback.
And I would just add to that comment too, as far as we've had another couple of months to think about it too, and really to take to the city council a concept that is unique and a need for the city, right, for housing, because we're in this housing crunch right now.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if your team has had opportunity to talk about over 55 housing or affordable housing, having deed restricted, using something that would be a need in the city to bring another carrot to the city council. So I'm just kind of throwing that out there too.
Mm-hmm.
If you find that we're just learning in the housing world right now with the legislative pressures that if we create more starter homes, we move people out of the starter homes into other homes, and it frees up the market for people to get into that market. We don't necessarily want to have our vision only on townhomes, because we have other needs that can be met in that housing world that can serve the same purpose and create homes. And we love the home ownership element that you've brought. We want to continue in that direction, and we're glad that you're mindful of that, because we really do want to maintain that. So
Correct.
I think to Brandon's point, we want to give you as much information as we can and have your team massage it or toss things around. As we dive into the residential side, we see there are almost as many or more challenges as the commercial side, right?
Yeah. No, there's a lot to it. Yeah, and this is all really good feedback. And honestly, at the end of this, we really want to have a project that's successful and a place where, you know, people want to come and live in Harrisville, right?
Because you have to sell homes.
Yeah. And so, it's great feedback on wanting to, you know, make sure that it's something that people actually want to live there, and that would be a good product. So, no, this is all really good feedback. On the, I guess, obviously we want to have a further conversation with property owners, and I think we should do that. I guess as a joint effort with that, on as far as understanding processes for if something like this were to go through and we can't, you know, come to an agreement with Javier or you know, other property owners to do something different here, and this goes residential, what is the process for the MDA, and how do we work through that?
Yeah, great question. It has to go through the exact same process as a zoning change.
Okay.
So we have to have a public hearing at the planning commission level and get a recommendation from the planning commission to forward on to the city council.
Mm-hmm.
It's a legislative decision, so even after all of our efforts, and it's a bit of a sales pitch to the city council.
Sure.
You want to have a product that's unique and it's going to bring homeowners into the community that is a benefit to the city, especially right now if we are considering moving commercial to residential.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, they can, at the end of the day, after all of our negotiations and all the work that we've done, they can say no.
Sure. Yeah.
Because it's a legislative. So I just want you to be aware of that. That's the uphill challenge of doing an MDA.
Yep.
And whether we tried to go back and ask for it to be rezoned from it would have to be A1 because that would spot zone anything different, and the neighboring properties are A1, so then you get 2 lots at the most.
Okay. And what would be the, I guess the transition from commercial to residential is a hurdle in and of itself, but I guess beyond that, what do you feel like the pain points are with city council on getting a project like this approved in an MDA?
It's funny that you would ask, because we just did a presentation to newly elected legislators. We're trying to get this is a little bit off, so bear with me. Okay?
No, you're good.
But with the housing pressure that the cities are facing from the legislators, we just did a presentation to the county, or in conjunction with the county. We created a map, and I've got a copy I'll send with you.
Oh, great.
And it shows all the entitled units that Harrisville has as of today. Because they're already past approved projects, entitled lots that can be built.
Yeah.
We have 1,200 units right now in progress in Harrisville.
Yeah.
We only have 2,500 homes right now.
Wow. Yeah.
So that's the impact we've already approved, and each one of those has deficiencies. So we have sewer deficiencies, we have stormwater, we have transportation, we have Pineview, we have half of our city hatched because there's either not infrastructure or it's not in Pineview's district. So we have all of these balls that we're juggling in the air to try to meet the legislative demands, and I share that with you because we have a lot of townhomes in those projects.
Yeah.
And so
People associate those with affordability, but technically they're not.
they've lost their affordability because of the market. Some of them, I won't say all of them. So that's why I throw out the affordability thing. We do there's opportunities for deed restrictions now. There's other things that we can look at and consider, but it's not going to be an easy ask to come into the city council and say we just want to build more townhomes, because they're going to say, well, we have 1,200 entitled units being built right now in Harrisville.
Right.
And it's because it's a legislative decision. I'm not telling you that they're going to say no,
Yeah.
but
No,
we
it's
want
good
a
feedback,
beautiful
yeah.
product between the partnership here, so that when we go in there, you're going to get a yes.
Yeah. And how do we differentiate ourselves because of that? Yeah.
And I'll send that map with you so that you can kind of understand where we're coming from as a city. Sorry,
Great.
Brandon.
No.
You add to that if you want. I'm going to grab it before I forget.
Okay.
When you guys talk about affordability, out of curiosity, because I think that's what we looked at with townhomes, is what's an alternative affordability? Because I don't know, there's certain, I don't think Live Tech can come, or there's really no Live Tech destinations in the city. When you say, what's more affordable than townhomes?
Well,
In terms of purchasing, I should say, not instead of rent, because I'm thinking you want for our own units.
Yeah, we do want owner-occupied units for sure.
Yeah.
We're not saying that townhomes aren't affordable, they just are sometimes not. So, if you're buying a townhome for $500,000, in our book, that's not moderate income housing, that's not an affordable unit. But if you're earmarking half of the townhomes you're pitching to the city council are gonna be $350,000 townhomes, then that's something that is a more affordable product to them.
What is?
I'll let you marinate on that.
Yeah, because I guess a couple of thoughts to it is that the concern with the higher density, is hey, there's a lot here.
yeah, and that's how you get affordability.
That's what I was thinking.
And that's the same battle we have as a city.
Yeah.
Is I can guarantee you that when we hold a public hearing on this, you're going to have everybody within 20-mile radius in this building saying, that's too much. But as a city, we're looking at it and saying, okay, what's too dense and what's not too dense? How do we achieve affordability? Because that's the only way. When you pay whatever you pay for property, and then you put 31 units on it, that can be affordable. But if you were to put 15 units on it, that is no longer affordable. And so I don't know. I will tell you that we are in the process right now of looking at some ordinances that would put deed restrictions on some of those lots. And so people could move into them, and then they could sell them, and there would be, some, they would get, over time, they would get some money back, but they wouldn't be able to move in at $350,000 and sell it for $600,000. They could sell it at a 2% increase over a period of time or something along those lines. You know, again, this is in the very beginning stages of considering something like that, but those are some thoughts that we're looking at.
So I'm not saying it's an option, but in different cities, we've looked at condos versus townhomes that are all in condos. That get you higher density, gets you in the $300,000 price point. Is that, you know, and it's, with this being a buffer from commercial to residential, would you see that to be?
I think that goes back to Jenny's point of there's 1,200 approved things similar to that right now. So I don't know that a condo really, the council may look at that and go, oh, a condo.
Are we talking affordable or are we talking quantity?
Well, we're talking quantity. Again, some of those in affordability, based on the size of them, they become, based on the size of the development, some of those units, they've already said these are going to be affordable units.
I guess what I'm asking is, if they are affordable in that 300,000 price point, or it's less dense and they get more towns, we're talking about a sales pitch to a city council. Which one are they going to say? Oh, because I don't think, and I'll be honest, if it's affordable, it's like, oh, well, I don't know if we want that, and then it's like, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Even though the city says we got to do that, and we're in the middle saying, oh, we've got a sales pitch here. You see what I'm saying?
No, I know. We have gone through this every 2 months. It seems like we're going through this. And
Yes.
it's not that we're opposed to it as a staff.
Yeah.
Because we understand the pressure that we're getting. It's just, what is that balance? I wish it would stay commercial, to be 100% honest with you. I think losing this to residential is just going to be a tragic mistake. But I'm not the property owner, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
And you know, you guys have the history of 20 years of trying to work with Javier, and that's the challenge. Is some people can't see the big picture. They don't understand what they're doing to themselves when they just look at their own little piece of ground, because it's going to ultimately end up hurting Javier.
And Brandon, I'm sincere when I say this, we've had very serious conversations about different options and how it grows and this whole evolution of commercial, and if this changes to residential, how that can impact this.
Yeah.
And it's a big challenge, to a point where Shane and Todd held on to this ground for a lot longer.
Yeah.
Because they always intended it to be part of a larger commercial development,
Yeah.
whether they were involved or not, sincerely, right? That's always been their objective. And so, as evidence of years and years of negotiations, and in all sincerity, Javier, I think, has best intentions. Hey, I want to do something. But when it really comes down to it, it's the economics. They're so far out of whack, it's just not possible, if that makes sense. And what it comes down to is that he has an operating restaurant in there that would be, no matter what, would have a positive or negative impact, but the family, it's unclear on what happens with the restaurant in the future, right?
Yeah.
So then all of a sudden, they're thinking it's another 10 to 20 years before they're going to make a decision.
Okay, well, I'd like to sit down with the property owners and have that discussion and just help them understand that, you know, we're really at a crossroads right now, and once that gets approved, they're limited to what they can do.
Right.
So, with that in mind, I don't want to take up any more time.
I was gonna say, let's plan that meeting outside of a project management
Yes.
meeting. And we'll hold a separate meeting when we get, and we'll have Brandon kind of lead the charge on making contact with property owners and organizing that, if you guys are all open
That'd
to
be
that.
awesome.
Sure. Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
And
Sweet.
so I know we got to get to Glade. We've had them sit for a while. But one last thing, I pulled up another map on Central Weaver. Get with them on that sewer line.
Yeah.
That line may actually go on kind of the property line in between your lots and the storage sheds.
Oh, excellent.
We've got one map showing it cutting through the middle of your property. I've got another one showing it kind of along that fence line.
I like the second one.
So you'll have to figure that out.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks, man. Yeah.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Yeah,
And,
thank you.
Can I give you my number?
Excellent. Yeah, that'd be great. Thanks, Brandon.
Brandon
Yep.
Green,
Mm-hmm.
801 725 4472.
17. Okay, Brandon Green, right?
Yeah.
Are you from Gainesville by chance?
I'm not. I grew up in Bountiful, and I live
You
in.
look super familiar.
Oh, I live in Syracuse now.
Okay.
Yeah,
So you're not related to Todd?
Todd's my uncle.
Okay.
Yep.
Who's your dad?
Jed.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. There's 5 brothers. Jay, Jed, Todd, Ted, Tim. So see if you can keep that straight. But yeah.
Well, and you're not obligated to take that.
No,
I just
I'd
wanted
love to.
use that as
Yeah.
an example. We do have a couple of errors in it because we threw it together pretty quickly, partnering with Matt's team. But it just gives you an overview of what's happening in Harrisville, and
Yeah.
we want to use that as going forward with all developments to say, okay, what can we do to make it successful for everybody and have a win-win.
For sure. No, I really appreciate it. Do you know how many of the 1,200 are, I guess, single family versus towns, or what the breakdown is
I
on
don't
that?
have that breakdown on that map.
Yeah,
Anything that's listed, the larger projects that are going to have hundreds of units, like the golf course and one on Dixon, the one listed as Dixon Creek, those all have a number of townhomes.
I bet it's about half.
23. You get 7.
23 townhomes in Summit View, so probably a good half of
I
that.
bet it's half because you've got 200 in Dixon Creek, about right, and then you've
I don't know
got
what
a couple
the
hundred on the golf
ratio of
course.
golf courses.
You've got the Copperwoods. So I bet it's about half.
Okay. No, that's just good. To know.
Yeah, some of those are single family residence neighborhoods as
Gotcha.
well.
Okay.
Subdivisions.
Excellent.
Okay.
All right. Okay.
Thanks,
Thank you so
guys.
much. Appreciate all your
Appreciate it.
feedback, guys.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
You too.
Sorry to keep you waiting, Glade.
Come on up, Glade. I thought you were gonna run and get donuts. We had you waiting so long.
I could have.
If we'd known, we would have.
Sorry.
My watch told me twice to stand up and take a walk.
It does that.
We're 25 months into this. Another 30 minutes isn't.
Yeah, we're okay.
Yeah,
Big deal.
right. Okay, so we have on the agenda phase 3 first, and then popping over to phases 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Are you okay with that, or do you want to start the other direction?
You have to bump.
I have to go at 10:30. I didn't anticipate an hour-long session before
Let's
this. Should we finish the
let's
other first?
let's go to Summit View first,
Okay.
if we could. So
Where's this at?
So they're
Haven't heard of that one. What's Summit?
we'd like to increase our density to 15 units an acre.
We're going to put condos in.
I'll turn around and walk right.
I thought those road names.
Yeah, we like that 15 per acre.
The road names.
What'd you say, Justin?
I said, I thought those road names were gonna be different.
Oh man, only a few of us get that.
There's been multiple requests for that, let me tell you that. Okay, well, let me give you kind of a quick update where we're at. Obviously, you know, we're anxious to start. I got an email from Matt last week with kind of a few surprises that I had to jump on and get things done. And so let me kind of give you a quick rundown of where we're at with that, because I think that's crucial to our discussion this morning. Matt asked for the following things. He wanted a final approval letter from Bonavista, final approval from Pineview, sewer easement signed off, which it is, and Weber County surveyor.
And these
thumbs
were
up.
all in the first memo, right?
You what?
I mean, these were all in the original memo, all these requests. So these weren't new comments.
Yeah, so we've got Weber County surveyor, which I have on phase 1 and 2 of Summit View and Oak Hollow is done now. Stream alteration permit, we will have that. We're told by the Army Corps of Engineers that will be approved this week. I emailed him first of the week and said, okay, what does that mean? And he said, you'll have it this week. They don't like any negotiation or discussion at all, I've discovered. So we're supposed to have that this week. Matt also asked for final plans, which, you know, we had to make some changes with Bonavista. Now just so you guys understand what's going on, I've been in communication with Pineview since, for
May.
a long time. And I found out last Thursday that the calculations in their engineering was incorrect. And so what they told me in terms of connections and all of that, and the pricing that they gave me was all incorrect. And so we've worked that out. These guys, Dan jumped on it real quick and got a revision done. Phase 2 was largely correct. I think did we have any changes? I think there was
Yeah, we
one
had
valve.
2 meters that we needed to add to the open
Okay,
spaces.
so that was largely, largely correct. But they only had, in the first phase of Summit View, they only had a few valves and meters, and so we had to revamp that. The other thing that I found out from Bonavista is that because we don't have the separation that the state that the state wants between sewer and culinary water, that we have to get state approval for that. And so we've revised our drawings. Our engineer's been on the phone with Bonavista to work out all of the details. That drawing was revised and sent over to Matt, I think yesterday.
Yeah, 8:30 last night.
Yeah.
Oh,
okay.
last night.
So that's just finalized. So we've sent that over to Bonavista as well, and you guys have seen that.
Yeah, I think Matt said that he sent it to our engineers and stuff like that to review it, do their process with it, and I think it has to go to the state
Yeah.
to get reviewed that way. So
Yeah. So, and my understanding in talking to the excavation contractor is he actually said, I'm not sure why this would hold up the project, because all the state wants to see, and maybe I'm incorrect in this, but he said the state just wants to see a map of where, so basically we have to sleeve some of the culinary water lines, and the state has to approve those.
yeah,
But he told me that he called me back after talking to Bonavista, and he said really what they want to see is they want to be able to put it on their GPS and locate those, but it's not like it's gonna, they're not going to approve it. And then, I don't know if that's correct. But
yeah. It's all in the state's hand. If they say yes, then yeah, everything's good. I would rather hold you up than let you go and then find out something's wrong or it doesn't get approved, because then you're out all the money you've already spent doing everything else. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's why I think it's better to still have the final approval. I know other subdivisions have gone that way, and luckily everything's gone the way it's supposed to go. But it's kind
There's
of
some risks.
It's a pretty big risk.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So that's kind of a quick update. So sewer easement we have, Weber County Surveyor, we've got all the conditional approvals there. The only thing they want is more money. And so, but that I sent those conditional approvals over, and I've got printouts of those as well. We have this, again, the sewer easement. Pine View is supposed to have, so we have submitted an application for inclusion into their district. That was done about a week ago.
Yeah, it was last Friday.
Yeah, no, last Thursday. So it was
Thursday.
a week ago. So we submitted that to them with a check for the previous calculations, so to pay for the previous calculations. And she said, well, we're going to have to recalculate this. And so I've been on the phone with Pine View. We've hammered all of that out. We've got that all worked out. And it's all applied for. It's just a matter of them getting the revised numbers to me. And
Which was supposed to happen yesterday, so we're anticipating today.
well, yeah, Brooke is waiting for approval from whoever has to approve those numbers.
Yeah.
So I don't know what the timeline is on that, but so that's kind of a quick update. So all of the re-engineering has been done to make sure that we're in line with Bonavista and Pine View requirements, and I think. The other thing is we did some substantial revisions because of the irrigation ditches. They did not want any siphons on the project, so we have eliminated all of the siphons on the project, which was a pretty major, effort on our part, and so that's been completed, and so all of those revisions have been done. So Matt, when you get a chance, look over those drawings.
The 8:30 drawing was actually Ocala, so I'll take that back.
Yeah, I thought the Ocala was the later
That
one.
was the later one.
Yeah. So
I got the bond I got the ones he sent over with the Bottom Vista comments.
Okay. So that's kind of where we're at. So obviously we're anxious to get started. We'd love to schedule a pre-construction meeting. And I don't know whether, whether where we're at is, if that's a possibility to at least pencil a date in and say, let's get this, talked about.
There's a possibility with having the sewer easement. There's other hurdles and hiccups, right? So one, you need to make sure that you have your NOI and that's filed with the state and the full plan set for your stormwater protection before the pre-con. Because with this new state House Bill 507, we actually have to hold 2 separate meetings. It's in the same meeting, but we'll do the pre-con first and then we'll kick into a new stormwater protection meeting, and we've actually,
that Bill?
yes, and now we will have to start essentially getting a waiver from the contractor that we can actually come on and inspect the stormwater.
And it's my understanding that our builder has submitted
Right.
estimates, or the estimates for horizontal improvements, and he's also submitted the SWIP.
Okay. As long as he has the NOI number and all that at pre-construction, we're
I
good
think
there.
I saw him send a
And-
SWIP over. Did he?
and
Do you know if he
full
filed it
plan.
with the state? The NOI?
I don't know. I'll have to. I will check on that.
I'll text him right now while you're.
Okay, great.
Yeah, and we're not. Yeah, and it's. I mean, we're not trying to hold you up. It's just we typically don't schedule a pre-construction meeting until we have all the final approvals. So we've been waiting on the Bottom Vista final approval, the Pine View, and that's just our process. Is we don't get city final approval until we get all the other outside agency final approvals. And then I don't know that we've ever done a pre-construction meeting before we get that final approval done. So but if they're, like what Justin's getting at, if there's some work could be done, initial grading work or some work that could be done before that, I'm open to that idea. I'm just letting you know what, I'm not trying to hold you up. I'm just
understand.
saying that's kind of the process.
No, we all know each other's really, really well. I think we're down to 3 items. We know we're gonna get Army Corps. They've been 60 days on this added approval, and they committed that will be done before the end of the week, so we're not concerned about that. This state approval was something that was new to us a week ago, and we understand that could happen pretty quickly, but it might be, a couple of weeks. And then we know we're real close with Pine View. You and I were out there a week ago. They said, "Oh, sorry, we miscalculated this. We misunderstood. We're not sure how, but we are where we are." And that, it's not a week or 10 days. That's pretty quick on that one. So
with Pine View,
yeah,
it'll have to go to the board in January.
with Pine View.
Well,
because-
for the inclusion or?
Yeah, for the inclusion.
Yeah, for the inclusion, I knew that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I knew that.
And they can just wait, yeah.
I think I think the key factor here is, there's been obviously some delays, all around.
So with our understanding, and this is just where we're coming from, and we'll kind of work with you guys. We know the subdivision process, at least the groundwork process is where I live my life. So you're gonna have grading. You're gonna start at your sewer. You're probably gonna start at the butter's property, and bring it this way. So again, the Bottom Vista, the Pine View approval, we'll want those before you start the infrastructure of those.
Understood.
And we will want the alteration permit before you get into
Before we
Before you
impact the
cross.
street.
impact the street.
Yeah.
So if there's outside other utilities, sewer grading, things of that nature that we can start, then we entertain that pre-con.
Okay.
I think that's
So-
what we need to.
So what I would ask is this: if we're pretty sure that, obviously there's a little bit of risk here, with this being submitted to the state, that the state will approve it, but it sounds like they approve those all the time.
Yeah.
It's not like we're asking, for the moon, Pineview, we've worked out all of the details with Pineview. It's just,
It's a formality.
and we've submitted the
For board to
inclusion.
approve it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
they've
then
even
getting the
given us-
amount of shares and everything.
Yeah, we have the shares, we've shown them the share certificates. So what would be really helpful for us is if we could do a pre-con meeting conditional upon, having these other items done. And then we could at least get the builder up to speed and he could get ready to start. When we talked to Jenny, a few weeks ago, when I talked to you about could we, even ahead of the stream alteration permit, could we access it through Wallen? And there was an agreement there that could probably happen. But I think we're supposed to have that by the end of the week,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
that's probably
That's
not a
tomorrow.
hurdle.
Well,
So, right.
and here's the big challenge is with our builder, he's got lenders and investors now that have been pretty patient over the last several
Sure.
months, and we're not pointing fingers at anybody because we're
Yeah, we
part
had
of the
some stuff
process
that we had
as
to-
well. But he's getting really nervous at this point that if he's not able to show pre-construction meeting and we're down to these 2 or 3 things and maybe even be able to start with some excavation that there may be some risk there. And so we're just trying to help him as much as we
Yeah.
can
Yeah, push it along.
to get even that much closer.
So if you get the stream alteration permit this week.
Yes.
That gives them tomorrow,
Yep.
assuming that you get that. Our schedules are a little limited.
It's
when we
the
hit the
holidays. Yep.
So
Right.
you
That's the other thing coming up for us.
It would be next week. I will defer to you guys on your
I'm fine with
schedules.
that.
Matt sets up our pre-cons, so just get with him after this meeting and
Okay.
we'll look at dates and.
I've got time on Wednesday evening, 5:30, if we want to meet at Maddox.
Perfect.
Well, that's even better than donuts.
We're not putting that on the record.
Yeah, that would be very helpful. And I think,
Brandon Jones Brandon Green is with Jones and Associates.
Yes, exactly. He's not a city employee.
Oh, yeah.
so I think, we've obviously done our best efforts to try to get,
Sure.
anytime we've been asked for a request, we've put forth our best efforts to try to get those. So if this is an opportunity, and again, I understand that coming out of that pre-con meeting, we may not be able to say, hey, go forward and do everything. But, I think we know that 2 things probably won't be done. The approval from the state won't be done, and the final approval from, the board at Pineview for the inclusion. But I think, again, those are probably formalities, So if we can schedule it, that'd be great.
Pineview usually becomes one of your last utilities you put in just due to depth.
Exactly.
What's your schedule looking like?
I'm on. Okay. I'll make it.
And we'll make it work
I was
anytime.
gonna say, we'll have Matt send out an email.
Why don't we just schedule it for next week then?
Let's
That
do
sounds
it.
great.
You want to talk to your contractor and see what time
He's-
that's?
You just give
he's
us a
good.
time, we'll be there.
I promise you everything else.
We can rearrange whatever we need to rearrange to be there.
Okay.
So we'll make it work.
Okay. All right, I'll send out a meeting invite.
Thank you. Wonderful. Really
And then,
appreciate it.
and then Matt, let me know, as always, if you see any issues with final engineering, but I'm hoping we're there and we don't have to make any changes. I don't know what revision we're on engineering with this.
17.
Obviously, this is a pretty complicated project because we had stream alteration, 2 irrigation canals,
All the easy spots in Harrisville have already been developed.
exactly.
Anything from here on out has.
The great thing about this one is anything we do from this point on will be easier than
Be
this.
careful what you say.
I was gonna say, I don't know if you were present for the previous discussion.
Well, we were.
Because there's a lot of challenge pieces left.
Very easy for that.
So I think we're good. I understand that the city council approved Trope acquisition,
That's correct.
so that's
Yay.
moving forward. Any signatures from him yet?
I haven't gotten anything from him yet.
You gotta get out.
Do
Do you want me to go over to his house with you after we
He
leave
emailed me and
here?
let me know that he'd been away from his home for the last week fishing. So
This guy plays way too much. But who am I to judge? Okay, but so that's very close, and
Yeah,
so,
close.
you
So
know,
assuming we don't have any hang up with signatures, then that has been approved by the city council.
perfect.
Brilliant.
Yeah, perfect. Any questions for us on phase 1 or phase 2?
No, so Trump hasn't signed it though yet.
No, that's what
We
you just
haven't
said.
done any.
He has all the paperwork.
We haven't done any approvals on phase 2. So once we get the acquisition is solidified and we've taken care of the recording and all that stuff
Right.
that comes with that, then we will put
Preliminary
you on,
plat.
We'll start the preliminary plat approval through the planning.
And I think that'll be pretty, I mean,
Should
after
be.
the preliminary plat, we should have everything, all the other ducks in a row.
Fairly quickly.
Yeah, should,
Yeah.
yeah, I sure hope so.
Stream alteration, no easement for the sewer, no.
I know, I know.
Already work out your irrigation ditches, so.
I'll be like Mary Poppins.
Okay. So I just didn't want to forget that we haven't done
Right.
any approvals, so we want to get that, because I know we held that up till we made sure that property was going to happen.
Okay.
Understood.
So phase 3.
Yeah, let's talk
You wanna
about,
take a quick minute on Oak Hollow?
yeah, let's do Oak Hollow.
can we take a
You
couple
want to
minutes
jump
on-
on? Yeah, I don't have Ocala pulled up. I don't have the 8:30 rendition. So Matt, do you want to plug in or do you want to just talk about it?
Yeah, either way.
So I think we're down to one.
Yeah, so
one
let me
item there.
kind of give you a rundown on where we're at on Oak Hollow.
Okay.
And then if we need to pull it up, we can. Haven't really changed any of the plat maps on Oak Hollow. Everything's as it was last time we reviewed that with you. We needed a few things to happen to be able to get approval, and one of those was annexation of the 4 Mile Service District, which got approved this week. So that's finalized. We needed a larger easement at the adjoining Harvey. If you just want to bring up the GeoGizmo.
Okay.
So we needed an easement. We needed 2 easements, and let me give you a quick kind of a rundown where we're at with that. So we needed an easement from this property, and so because we didn't have the clearance at the side of the house. So we've secured that easement. It's been notarized. I have copies of that with me. That will be recorded at the same time we record the second easement. The second easement is actually going to occur right here. We've negotiated all the terms. I'm told that we'll have signatures by the end of the week. So we're going to run the secondary water line right here and tie into the pond at Warren Hollow.
They've received everything from us. They've given us the verbal. And
So you
and
won't
they'll
need to
sign it.
come down that Jennings Lane at all?
Nope.
Nope.
Because that was the other thing. That was I think only a sewer.
Sewer.
That was only a sewer, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know you've had the conversation, so I know we talked about this before, but this is an absolute no-go then with this guy. Because I mean,
No-go.
I did a quick just rundown of the cost to run everything around instead of right there, and it's like, what did I tell you, Justin? It was like a couple $100,000 more
Yeah.
to do just construction costs to run, your storm drain outfall all the way down to there, your secondary water all the way down to there, your sewer you probably have to bring some of it out this way anyway, but we have that big storm
The sewer
drain
has to
line.
go to
There's a big
77.
storm drain line on the secondary line right there. I'm just the construction cost of running that all the way down 700 North is so huge. Is there no amount of money that guy would take to make that to just put an easement through right there into the road? But sorry, Justin, what were you saying?
Well, again, and as you guys have it planned out right now, we're great with as long as we got the easements. We just have to verify some calculations on the pump that's there,
Yeah,
the pond size,
that's the other concern.
and also we're having some issues at the head gate. So it might be something that we involve you guys through your excavator in at that point.
we weren't aware of any concerns with that because we had that discussion earlier about, will Warren Hollow, will that
Yeah.
pond
I
happen?
just
And we
want
were
to
told.
reiterate that we're still on the same page, that, again, I know we'll have plenty of water, it's just, how long will that pond hold the water with the amount of people pulling off of it? So on
Right.
and so forth.
Has Great Basin put together like a study for your secondary water? They did that in Warren Hollow.
They have not yet.
Showing that, yeah, this system will work, because that's the other concern too, is just pumping it. We're running it off of these pumps, pumping it that many feet, and the head loss that you get through that pipe to pump it all the way. You're pumping, they've got a pumping system that's just, pressurizing these lines
Mhm.
right here. But now you're talking about bringing, those pumps need to, that line's coming down here, all the way up into here, and all the way up into here. So they need to look at too, just the amount of head loss that they're gonna have to overcome. And can these pumps do that?
Yeah, and what about how about all? Right.
Okay, I'll check with him on that. Okay. So really, aside from that, I think we've dotted all the i's and crossed all the t's on this one.
Do you know if they were able to look into the issue with the existing irrigation ditches coming across the property, and then as well?
There's
as
only
the-
one.
And then there's the wet spot that's identified on the site as well. The original plans, and I haven't looked at his new plans, I'll have to look, because the original plans didn't show them doing anything with those ditches or with the, you basically had water just seeping out right here.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't.
And it's identified in your studies too, that there's like, I don't know if it's like even an artesian flow or just really high groundwater, I guess is artesian, whatever. But there wasn't anything showing this being mitigated, and then this ditch, this irrigation ditch.
Yeah, and actually the ditch. The ditch. There's a line that comes across here. Is what I understand, and then there is one that goes across here. So I'll visit with Andy about that.
Yeah, and I tried to outline all that in the memo I sent last
The
month.
question is, on that pitch, where does it
He's showing
flow
it
to?
right here, but he's not showing it being piped.
Right. Do we know where it flows to after it leaves your property?
I think it comes here.
Okay.
I think it comes here and
Okay. So
and there.
So it's there is still users.
Yeah, that's what I said.
There are,
I know there was a couple ditches on Warren Hollow that there were no active users after them, so they
Oh,
were
really?
able to
yeah.
adapt.
Yeah, I'll visit with Andy. Did he show?
I'm looking, and because you can see on the plan, on like the grading plan, everything, you can see where he's identified where these ditches are at, but they don't show them being piped or anything. So that's a concern, because it's going right through lot 11 and 6. Unless it's on another sheet that I haven't got to yet. Yeah, I don't know what. And it's nice when they go through and provide a comment response.
Yeah.
So
Rather than just do the changes and.
Yeah, it makes it nice for us when we receive a document back from them that has all of our comments, and then they usually list right below it, this is how we address
This is
that
how they
comment.
addressed it.
And I
Yeah.
haven't seen any of that from them. That would be helpful in our review.
Yeah.
Instead of trying to pick it out and try to figure out what if they've addressed it or not.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'll talk to Andy on that. questions about
Well, I
this?
guess he'll have to do a review of the new,
Yeah, right.
he'll
Yeah,
have to do a full review of the new plan since.
Yep.
and I'll find out
we're
from
not-
Andy
yeah,
today on
I was
the.
gonna say, we're not prepared to respond that
Sure.
quickly.
Right.
Yeah.
It was just more
Yeah.
of an update and just to see if there's anything else, any other concerns.
Yeah, he says existing head gate to be removed.
We've been placing bets internally on which of the three will win by a nose to get across the
finish line?
Is it Ocala? Ocala's making progress.
You have a lot of players.
We do have a lot of
Game.
players.
Lot of
yeah.
players.
There's a lot of coordination on this. So, okay. And I'll check with Andy, have an answer from him today on those irrigation canals and addressing those.
So I do need to go, but I'll see you all next week for that pre-construction meeting, which will be awesome. And
Sounds
and
good.
then we'll wish you all a Merry Christmas.
It says existing ditch to be vacated,
Oh, really?
but
That's a problem.
yeah,
We'll have to look at that.
yeah.
Okay.
It says head gate removed and ditch vacated, but who's given
If
that
he-
approval to do that? 'Cause
Yeah.
they're supposedly, according to those other landowners, they still use that water.
They do. Yeah, I was over visiting with Aaron Fields one day, and the water was flooding his property, so I know he's using it.
Yeah.
So, okay.
I haven't heard back from Cody on the SWIP stuff
Okay.
yet, so as soon as I do, I'll just text you.
Okay.
All right.
My guess is that's been
Thank you.
filed.
Thank you.
They actually, because of the recent changes in SWIP requirements, they actually had an outside firm do this one for them. So I'm guessing it's all been submitted, but I'll confirm.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
And you have time because you'll let us know when the stream alteration
Yeah.
permit is
Yeah.
received too. So, okay, back to Summit Views.
Summit View, yeah, let's look at Summit View Phase 3. So to bring everybody up to speed, after months and months and months of negotiating with butters, they have signed a development agreement with us to go ahead and move forward on developing a portion of their property. So, Jenny, maybe can you look at go back to GeoGizmo for just a minute. Let me start there. So basically, what we're doing is right where this property line is, there will be kind of a horizontal line across here. Our intention is to subdivide those three parcels into one parcel. And those would be, we're proposing that those come in as phase 3 of Summit View. And they would literally come into Summit View. They would share our HOA, so our HOA will manage all of the units in their property. They would be able to use amenities also in Summit View Phase 1 and 2. And so that's basically our intention. So that takes us a little bit south of Berkeley. There's a couple of things that we know are going to be necessary. Our original intent was to tie in our sewer into Berkeley, but when we get down to these lower lots down here, they will not have the fall going up to Berkeley. And so we've already made the butters aware that we're going to have to bring a sewer line down and tie into a Larson line, which I know that we're hooking up to Ogden City there.
Yes.
So that's,
I mean, honestly, everything in Berkeley
still goes
is going
on.
on.
Yes, it still
Okay.
is, but
Any of
it's
these
not a direct
connections,
connection to
yeah.
their infrastructure.
yeah.
Right.
We still don't have
But we still need to
an agreement with them.
work that out because we're adding a bunch of Summit View.
Summit View, all of Summit View, yeah,
Is going in
would
there.
connect to there.
So that, we'll have to follow up with that.
We've asked for an agreement.
We've asked for a meeting for a couple of years.
What we need.
We need to get a hold of it. It got hung up in their legal office in Ogden, and they had to turn over, and then it's just kind of been
It's kind of
scary.
the back shelf. And what we really, both cities want, and in a brief conversation with Central Weaver, they sounded willing to take over that line. Because you have multiple pay Ogden.
Historically, I don't know how Ogden ended up with ownership of it because it has always been within Harrisville's boundaries.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So
It's just dump, but it, you know, it's taken a big chunk of Ogden.
It is.
Washington. Yeah, so
So we've got some work on our end that we need to kind of to work out. But to your point, as it would affect phase 3, you would have to put a sewer line down
Yeah.
to the Larson Lane. Okay.
Yeah, the sewer easement that we've signed with the butters would allow us to tie in Berkeley. But we also told them, hey, well, you know, depending on how the timing all works on this, you know, we may end up not tying in at Berkeley at all and and going all the way down to
Oh,
Larson.
I
what if
see.
we tie in, we've got a manhole right here in that corner, so you don't have to cut into Larson Lane.
Oh, hey,
You
that's
don't have to
perfect.
Right here.
Cut into an
Matt?
Ogden manhole. Yeah, we have a manhole in that corner.
Oh, well, that's even better.
Yep,
Okay,
that's great.
yeah, that would.
It might be on the Browns property. I can't tell if it's on.
I
ours
think
or
it's
Browns.
actually on our
In the-
irrigation pond property.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
Secondary or
They're not
Storm drain.
Storm drain. Yeah.
Okay, well, that's
We have
great.
that. We also have that easement.
So Matt, you said that's right here?
yeah, right in
At that corner?
Yep. Yep.
Okay. Well, that's good to know. I don't think, I mean, our plan is that, I mean, obviously, we may have to make some connections at Berkeley for utilities depending on how everything else works. Or we can just bring them through our subdivision, through phase 1 and come all the way down and service all of those, you know, new residences in that portion.
Townhomes as well. They're gonna be the same.
Yeah, so let's look at the drawing now and I'll kind of show you. So here's Berkeley, here's where our subdivision ends. So obviously you knew we had a stub here. That road will continue through, tie into Berkeley, and then it will go all the way south to the portion of the property that we're developing, and there will be a stub here and then a potential stub here. We also have a potential stub here. And so the way we have designed this, and this is again conceptual and it's preliminary, but these are all patio homes. So all of this side is patio homes. We felt like where we were going to go against existing residential single family houses, that we wanted to kind of maintain that. And that was one of the things that we insisted with the butters, is we said we're just going to have a lot easier sell if we put patio homes here. So these are all patio homes, and then all the rest are townhomes. We've maintained about the same density that we have in our Summit View, with the exception of, obviously, there's more townhomes in this model, but it's not 15 units per acre.
What do you know what it is?
I think we're close to, if I did the calculations right, I think we're about 7 units per acre. But we also, and some of this, we're going to probably, obviously we'll have revisions in this. We do have, so all of them have a driveway space. All of them are 2-car garages, except for these. There's a couple of smaller units right here that will have a single-car garage. But they're basically the same layout. They're largely the same layout as we did in our Summit View Phase 1.
Can I just
as far
ask
as
a question
townhomes
on
go.
that?
Mhm.
It appears to me that you've got the room to make those 2-car garages with that. I mean,
On-
is there a
on
reason
this one?
On that one and the one at the top, is there a reason?
I'll take another look at that. I think it would be tough, but I may be able to make some modifications to that plan and make it work.
But
Yeah.
Just looking at it.
Yeah, I think
Are you-
we've only got,
Is it the open space that you're?
well, I think we could probably, we have the width here where we could even take that building wider, and we could probably push this wider if we need to. And I think part of it is So all of the ones with a 2-car garage are a 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath. These are a 2-bedroom, they're a 2-bedroom, 2-bath. And so one of the things was we just kind of wanted to offer a couple of options, you know, for people.
I don't know that I mind that because then the price point might be a little different.
Yeah, that's
I don't
exactly
know.
right. The
You-
price
you
point
tell me,
would be
but-
different, yeah.
Okay.
I think if
And that's fine. I think after having that discussion, that's what we're looking for, right? Is variety.
Yeah. So we have put in some parking spaces. I think obviously there's more room for parking all around this. We haven't squished it so much that we don't have any options for additional parking. But right now we have parking spots here, here, here. Got a couple up here. My guess is we'll probably ramp that up a little bit and put a few more guest parking spots in.
I can tell you Matt's going to have a conversation with us right here.
You were already thinking it, weren't you?
We were all looking at that going, what?
I was impressed he sat there long enough, that long. But he's going to have a conversation with you about that intersection alignment.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you'll note that we've maintained full right-of-way here, public right-of-way. These are all private, you know, right-of-way, obviously. But do you want to have that discussion now?
They need to line up.
Okay.
That's, I think, what it boils down to. We have, I think we set in our ordinance that offset intersections need to be spaced, I think, at least 200 feet. And that's obviously.
Yeah, we basically made it not worth it if you're going to offset them.
Yeah.
We want them to line up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you just don't want, and I know it's smaller areas, smaller streets, but you don't want that conflict. People turning left here and turning left there, and they're not seeing each other.
Well, and especially if eventually somehow Berkeley turns down, but not Berkeley, the
Some of you drive, goes all the way to Larson.
Larson, yeah,
Then-
they have more cars now.
Then
Yeah, you'll have more
depending on
traffic.
the road above Berkeley, if the school decides to try to do something that's a one-way in, one-way out, with your other road and
Okay.
But you're maintaining Summit View Drive as a public road, and Berkeley obviously is a public
Correct.
road, and then your others would be private.
They're private, yep. Yeah, so
So your intention would be an amendment to the existing MDA? Is that what?
yeah, so our existing MDA states that we can acquire additional property and incorporate that into the project as an additional phase, and that's what we would propose. So obviously we know we're going to have to get a zoning change on those parcels, the 3 parcels of the butters right now. We know that we would have to do a zoning change there, but they would be subdivided. I know that, you know, from early conversations when we were working with them before, I know that you guys were concerned about phasing on the rest of it. I can't give you any commitment from them on the phasing for the rest of their property. Because I can't get a commitment from them.
I understand. I think our issue and discussion from those, and kind of to bring Brandon up to speed with that too, from the planning perspective, this parcel, as you can see, comes all the way down here, and they've already got a commercial business on it.
Right.
And so our discussions earlier were, what does this look like to get the zoning change? So we have to either do the subdivision first,
The subdivision, that was our intention, to do the subdivision first.
because we have to change the zoning on the entire parcel. So
Right.
from,
Subdivide the commercial building out of the rest of it.
Yeah, and the way that would look, again, is that line would come across here. This would become a single parcel. I mean, I would think that would become a single parcel, subdivided off of the rest, and then we can do whatever,
And then they
you know.
rezone.
everything
And then we'd
south
rezone,
would be
yeah,
commercial.
we'd rezone this to mixed-use residential. And then.
And these 2 parcels are fine. It's 122 and 766.
That have the commercial.
Because they all come all the way down and have commercial frontage. And,
Mhm.
I mean, they just expanded their business onto 766. There's no buildings on that building, or on that
Not a lot.
parcel. They demolished it.
Does this, I guess that comes down like
Yes,
that,
it comes
doesn't it?
down
So the
to-
commercial building's here.
And this
Yeah.
is on a different,
Yeah.
zoom in the property
Oh, yeah.
line
Yep.
comes here. Because this used to be a dairy, and they demolished all the buildings on that. So that would have to happen before we even go for a rezone application, or an amendment to the MDA for a rezone for the top parcel. So I'll let, yeah, I'll let you kind of brainstorm with Brandon on how we would do that, what that looks like.
Well, and we wouldn't ask for any rezoning down here at this point on,
Right, I understand,
on the
yeah.
properties to the south.
Yeah, I'm following you there. It's, how do we do a subdivision and leave all that out? Is the question.
Well, and I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, and this is what I'm thinking, is we create that subdivision and divide those properties off and just leave that lower as it is, and then rezone that to a one parcel.
Correct.
So then, does that make sense? I think that's probably the cleanest and the easiest, is just create that line across there
Coming
and
with
then leave
another
everything.
subdivision.
Yeah.
And they do their residential.
But
Yeah.
after that point, I think there needs to be some thought in how that's the lots are gonna lay out below that, because
Right.
I don't want another thing happening like what's over at Javier's.
Yeah.
That's gonna need to be planned out.
Yeah, so one of the things that I have told the butters is that I'd like to master plan the south part of this subdivision, or, their properties. At least to the point where we know, because if we're gonna have to take the sewer all the way down that way, we need to know where the roads are gonna lay out. So
Yeah.
I've told them we need to do at least some preliminary, layouts and conceptual drawings on that property to the south, so that we can master plan that in and make sure that we're going down the road, so that we don't have to tear it out.
Yeah, and to
Yeah.
Brandon's point, I think they face, if not worse issues than Javier's, because they have an access here on Larson Lane,
Mhm.
and then they have
That's
the
stacking.
worst
It's
access
it's
here.
ugly, isn't
there.
it? Yeah, it's really ugly.
And of course, we've learned from UDOT that won't be removed. They can't take that away from them. But yeah, to Brandon, what's their future plan for those properties, and
Yeah.
we need to consider where the access points are.
Yeah, I've already given them I already alerted them to that fact that, at least, very least for the sewer, but I knew that you guys would also be asking me the same question, is what's gonna happen there?
So I think as it stands right now, we could probably do the subdivision, but until there's a master plan or a preliminary concept master plan on anything below that, we probably wouldn't entertain any more development until we get into that master plan.
Well, and we need to be mindful too, because even if you're bringing the sewer, and help me, Matt, on this, and Justin, if you're stubbing the sewer here, and then we're connecting to the manhole here, the road, what does that look like coming here and getting
Exactly.
over to there, right?
Yep.
So that we're not putting a sewer in somebody's yard. Our
Right, at
preference
some
is to
point-
have it always in a public right of way.
Right. If the master plan has that road coming all the way down, and it's not butted up, I guess you could bring it down along there, and then maybe in the future you just have to have an easement.
Right,
Run it over to that manhole where it turns.
as long as it
Chances-
places
yeah.
somewhere that it's not gonna be
Yes.
Right, in
under
a
a
driveway,
building or-
driveway
They
or
have to
something.
work around that, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Chances are that detention basin's gonna have to increase anyway for future development, so you may bring in that detention basin to the,
That's true, they may just
To the
opt
left.
to expand that detention basin.
and then you could run the road, I don't know.
yeah,
But,
that's
why-
something for,
Glade.
discussion.
And you read on that, Brandon, because right now, yes, we have access to that detention basin through the cul-de-sac, but we also have an easement
Through the Browns.
through the Brown property, and we'd love to get rid of that easement on the Brown property.
Right.
And if we had a road that we could
Yeah.
access it from
Yeah.
this side, that would be
Yeah.
beneficial.
Okay. Yeah, we can certainly do that.
His mom's not still alive, is she?
She passed just about a week ago at 105.
Wow.
105.
2 weeks ago.
Please don't let me.
It's a long time.
It doesn't even sound attractive, does it?
No, 53 is hard.
She passed right before Thanksgiving. Like the Saturday, Sunday before.
Did she stay at home?
She was in a care.
So when
Sorry.
When we did Larson Lane, we dealt with, she was 100 years old and still living on the road in the house down there.
Really?
That was,
Yeah.
That was 5 years ago.
So our initial conversations when we were working with the butters before, and we've had similar conversations as of late, our initial conversation was to this property where we intersect here, or anything south of here. They talked about maybe doing apartments or condos here and then going to like fully commercial down towards the frontage. So we were talking about doing mixed use or flex space buildings and things like that. They were very favorable to that. So we'll draft up some concepts and run it by them. But that's
One other question while we're talking. The charter school right there on the left.
yeah.
Is there something that needs to be discussed as you're planning that southern?
you got the posse.
The problem is the posse grounds here,
In between.
so they don't own that.
The posse ground, at one point they were talking about moving, but are they still?
As far as I know, the posse ground's going to be discontinued. The posse is going to be discontinued. My last discussion with the guy who manages all of this is that they didn't have enough interest, and so they were talking about just abandoning that and selling the property. I've tried to negotiate with them. They had a pretty high price tag for that property, and they had fixed in their minds what they wanted to get out of it. And I said, I couldn't do that. Originally, we were going to find a parcel for them, and we were going to move them to that other parcel. And I found a parcel that would have been ideal for them. And then they came back to me and said, we just decided to. So they decided in a board meeting to close. I think they had a board meeting. Maybe they were just thinking about it. But that was the last plan I heard from them. But I haven't talked to them in a few months.
So there's a potential for that to be included in some kind of development, whether it's you or somebody else.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I told him, he said we're probably just going to list the property, and I said, well, please call me if you decide to list it, because we may be able to incorporate it. I mean, it would be an easy incorporation into our subdivision. But that was, and I was also trying to negotiate things with the school for a long time, and we talked to the school about acquiring some of their property on the north in exchange for doing some things for them, and that didn't go anywhere. They've got the problem with the school board is they've got a lot of people on there who just are of the opinion you never give up real estate, and so we could just never work anything out that would work for them. So
I'll just keep that in mind.
And the price hasn't changed on the Vasquez property then?
not that I know of.
On the what?
Yeah.
On the what property?
On this Vasquez, this is for sale
Yeah.
currently. For what, a couple million?
It's around 3 million, which is about 2 million north of what we were negotiating with them. So, yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
Well, I think first steps first to kind of get a game plan for phase 3.
Can I just say one more thing?
Oh, of course.
Can we keep phase 3 kind of hush-hush right now until we get some signed documents from a neighbor to the north? Because I'm just a little concerned that gets out and he's gonna, again, just, we can move forward, but let's not go advertise it right now. we're almost at we're almost at the finish line, and I hate to see him say, well, I don't want that additional phase coming in.
Yeah. Understood. Yeah.
One other question that this brings up. If this is going to stub to future whatever
Yeah, where does it
happen
go?
there, do we want this to be public or?
Well, again, what I would suggest on that map, and this is just me and you looking at this, adjust Berkeley, make
Yeah,
Berkeley
make Berkeley the
fully
main
public,
road.
Yeah,
fully public all the way through,
yeah,
and then
Like this.
Berkeley's the tie-in.
yeah, I like that.
That would be my suggestion, because again, why are we tying in a road that deadheads and hammerheads right there?
Yeah. And you
into
could,
that
and I think
passes?
Berkeley, you could match, so that he's drawn this the same as Summit View. He could match the cross section of
Yeah.
Berkeley, which is a smaller cross section.
So we eliminate the park strip like we did up
Yes.
Tiny to Wallen?
Well, I mean, Berkeley's only 28 feet wide, right?
Yeah.
So as long as we just match that?
Match Berkeley, not
All the way through.
all the way through.
Okay.
Is that stuff up at the schools that match Berkeley, where they have a little parking lot stuff?
It would be nice if it did, right?
Close, isn't it?
If you
It's
brought
got the
Berkeley
whole-
straight
It's
to
a
the
lot
line.
It's close.
That comes
I was
west.
thinking it was.
But it would be really good to stub out at the Vasquez Park.
You really, yeah. I know, that was our original intent, you know?
Somebody's gonna buy that property and they're gonna come in here and they're gonna wanna put 15 units, maybe 16.
That's braver.
But at that point, I think that's where well, then you've still got the school you've gotta work with.
Yeah, and they own all the way up here. And they've got a pavilion now and it's turf, it looks like
Yeah,
back
they have
there.
some
They have
turf.
turf. I thought they were holistic, so turf threw me off, but
Well, don't go spray it. No,
Yeah,
yeah, don't go spray it.
Stupid.
You can burn it, but you can't spray it.
Okay, good. So
that's-
I've got.
is that good enough feedback on that? Any
That's
other
great feedback.
questions for
No, I
future
think,
steps on?
are you guys, is everybody okay with the overall concept here? We've drawn it out.
I think, you know.
We went through a couple of iterations on this. This is the one I like the most, but we'll continue Berkeley across.
I like how you've got single family up against a single family.
Yeah.
That'd be good.
I think that
think this
was,
is
I had to push the butters because they were all about more units, and I said, look,
We would
I
just-
got to sell this to the city, and it also makes sense,
If-
from a
if
planning
that-
standpoint.
If that is less than 150 feet, that doesn't meet that hammerhead, and then that doesn't create a double frontage on those.
Those
Those also
existing
have a
homes.
asphalt right behind them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so,
So you may not.
I think it says 178.
I wonder if you could just stop the road at 150
yeah.
and still have the access to even though it's 80 feet. I don't know.
I mean, you're getting a pretty big asphalt section to widen out to make that hammerhead.
170.
Yeah.
It just doesn't,
Okay.
and even if
I'll
lot
check
3
that.
You can turn that lot 3 onto.
had to turn and then slide.
Come off of the shore. Yeah.
Yeah,
And leave some more open space. I would maybe, just because we have to go to the city council with it, just tell us what you're gonna do with the play area and the amenity. Tell us how beautiful the neighborhood's gonna be when people live here and where they're gonna walk their dogs and how many picnics they're gonna have and,
Yeah.
help us be visionary on how.
Okay.
And one thing we really do need to, I get nervous about the sewer issue. Because we have.
well, we're gonna have to address
We
that
gotta figure
Yeah.
before
out.
this.
I mean, the city, we need to work that out,
Yeah.
but
That's on us.
these are more units here,
Yeah,
Bunch of
we-
Creek is going to
oh,
that
yeah.
line. And I don't know that Huggins anywhere.
Yeah, they are. I've talked to both Mara and Lisa Stout about it. But I just can't get a meeting, so we'll prioritize it. But we need to get Central Weaver at the table too, so we'll take care of that. Or we'll get started on that, how about that?
So one of the things that might be helpful here is knowing that this is going through, can't believe I'm actually saying this, is for Pineview and Bonavista, where we bring our connections down through here. I just want to make sure we have, sizes that will accommodate, the needs of this development too.
Yeah, because we're in Berkeley, so that'll be good to just tie that
Either
over a little
that
bit.
or
So you're in Berkeley? Are you in Berkeley as
Yeah, we're in
well?
Berkeley. Our line that's in Berkeley is actually a 12-inch line.
Oh,
So that may need to be something that's upsized so much further depending on for flows. But I would think if phase 1 and 2 are gonna work, once that's tight in, it should flow, and maybe you don't have to do 12-inch. But that'll be something that Matt Fox and those guys will review and go over, and they'll let you know what size it'll have to be.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah, we're 6, and that's what we're putting in.
You're a 6.
Is a 6.
Okay.
So
So
we do
everything's
have
gonna
a
tie in
4-inch that comes on the east side, and then along we have an easement on the north side of that property over to the school. So that's why I included in the email asking how much it would be to install a meter.
Yeah.
Because we would probably just put it right there in that corner of Summit and this western.
So you're saying you would tie it in where?
Yeah, so we have a line from Berkeley all the way up here and run it down here. So we'd have you tie in
Oh, okay.
right here
Yeah.
to that 4-inch.
Yeah, now would be a good time to do that for sure.
Yeah, and then pay your contractor to install a 4-inch meter for the
Okay.
school up there.
Would you run it down the roadways? That way if it doesn't go to this property and come in, like if that road stub to the end, would you want to put your meter?
No, because that's a private road.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay, I got you.
So we stay on private roads.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so that's, now's definitely the time to do that. Okay. All right. Any other questions or comments? Well, I feel a lot better about your comments after this presentation than what I heard at the beginning of this meeting.
It wasn't very long ago that you came in with a similar plan. You got a similar result.
Oh, I never
So you've
came in
learned.
with anything like that. It's kind of funny because Lane and I were sitting back here, and I said we were predicting what you guys were going to say. I said, yeah, the density's too high, access is a problem, there's not enough open space, there's no amenities, and then I said, oh, and what was the last thing I said? And then you guys said it right after. And it was just like, Lane and I were just looking at each other going, yeah, we know exactly where this is going. So,
All right, if we are officially off